to Caterpillars TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston. Our guest today is our good friend Melisa Jane Lightning, the lead singer from Final Gravity and Lady Zep. And you've been singing for another Zeppelin tribute, I see. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I was just a guest. So
Okay.
I've been friends with them for years, and they just needed someone to fill in. So we do that for each
Okay,
other.
and I should let everybody know this for our on the record segment where we talk to your favorite musicians about some of their favorite albums by their favorite band. And today, Melissa surprised me picking a Dream Theater album. And I say that because, of course, you're, as I said, the singer in Lady Zep, and that's kind of what you're known for. So I thought you might pick a Lady Zep, a
Led
Led Zeppelin
Zeppelin.
album,
Yeah.
excuse me. But I think it's quite cool because it shows, people listen to more than just one thing. And I'm not a huge Dream Theater fan myself, but in preparation for today's interview, I went and listened to some songs off the album, and I don't want to say I'm a diehard Dream Theater, but I'm digging what I was hearing. So let's talk about this album, which we're talking about today, Dream Theater's dramatic turn of events, which I think is very fitting for that album. I read up on history of albums. So talk about why Dream Theater and that album in particular means so much to you.
That album, I heard when I first joined Final Gravity, and Final Gravity was introducing me to the progressive rock scene.
Yeah.
And because Final Gravity is progressive rock, and so they were very influenced by Rush, and I like Rush too, but
Yeah.
the Dream Theater album had just come out, and the guys were talking about it, and I think the drummer actually gave me a CD, and I
Oh,
listened
wow.
to it, and it blew me away, because it it was just so epic.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Epic's a good word. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
in fact, many of the songs, and I guess that's what progressive rock, but many of the songs, for example, 10, 12 minutes long. And interestingly enough, that you would pick an album like this because you being a singer, well, the songs definitely have vocals. Like there's one track in particular, the vocals don't even come into it until like past 2 minutes into the song, which is
yeah.
kind of interesting. So the vocals, interestingly enough, as important as they are, it doesn't seem to be like a key part of the music, if you know what I mean. Kind of
Yeah,
is in the background.
I think the vocals are strong in
Oh,
Dream
no, no,
Theater, but I know what you're saying, and
yeah,
what it's like a symphony. But when I listen to Dream Theater, I it's like I'm watching a movie, but with my ears.
looks like a rock opera or something. Yeah,
Yeah, but it no, but it makes me feel very visual. So
yeah,
it's like I don't know, like if people don't visualize much,
yeah,
but
yeah,
for me it gets those visualizing juices flowing where I can see like a whole story just
yeah.
by the feelings and the intricacies and emotions of the music, because I feel like there's a lot of passion in every instrument.
Yeah, I guess a
Keyboards
good
are
way to
great
put it
too.
is to me, these songs and this type of progressive music um, is more like it's more about kind of like typically when I listen to a song that has lyrics, typical rock song, I'm trying to figure out what's the song about. It's kind of gets me in the mood or whatever. Very much, I'm sure, like when you hit the stage, you're trying to get the audience up on their feet. This is much more about the mood. I almost say it could be music to meditate to. It kind of make you really think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it seems like, so the top, like the kind of themes of the songs are kind of like rising up to your true
it's yourself. Yeah,
potential, your best self.
yeah,
And so I like that kind of messaging as well, where it's like encouraging you and
yeah.
trying to inspire you, and it's pretty inspirational too, because it
Yeah, I mean that's what I kind of got out listening to it. It was kind of different for me because again, like I said, I'm not a diehard Dream Theater fan, but I was getting into it. Like this, I'm
yeah.
listening to it really serious for the first time, and um, and I'm not listening to it like you said. I'm not listening like I typically listen to your average rock song or something you'd hear on the radio. I'm kind of it's not so much about what is the song even about. It's kind of just getting in that mood.
Mm.
Yeah,
Kind of gets you here.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, well, that was the album that got me into Dream Theater. I didn't know much about them
Yeah. And
until I
as
heard
silly as
the
it
album.
sounds to say, like it's more about the mood, and I guess in the sense that like I listen to this, I just like it. It didn't even matter that I didn't really have to know what the songs were about. Yeah, it's just good. It's what it is.
Yeah.
And you mentioned meeting the drummer, and what's interesting is, like I said, this very fitting title, "Dramatic Turn of Events." I was reading it. This is the first album not to feature original founding drummer Mike Portnoy, who was kind of a leader of the band. He wrote a lot of the music. And reason he left the band apparently was he wanted to take like because he had other projects he was involved with. He wanted to take like 5 years off, and the rest of the band really wasn't into that. And so he's like, well, I guess then I'm going to have to leave. And then the drummer that they got now that came in and replaced him is this guy named Mike McGanny, and he's played with Extreme, Steve Vai. So he's quite an experienced player himself.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to be to play that stuff. Um, this album was, I believe, spearheaded by the guitarist Petrucci,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so he actually produced it,
yeah.
uh, and I think he did a great job.
And
Yeah,
again, it's a different look at even at the guitar player because while they got great riffing in the songs, it's not your typical guitar riffs. It's again kind of just it's more about taking you on a real musical journey, and like especially 12-minute long songs, it's a real long musical journey. So that's the other thing with this type of music. You got to really be able to keep the listener's attention, in a 12-minute track, so they don't you as a singer knows that you're lucky if when somebody goes on YouTube and checks out one of your songs, they even play it all the way through.
yeah,
So you can imagine with the 12-minute track, you really got to
yeah.
keep the listener's attention.
Yeah, and they, well, what I like though, and what keeps my attention personally is they make these choices where it goes to these places where it's uh like pulling on those chords that are kind of obscure.
Yeah, yeah,
For me, that's always my wheelhouse. Like when I do songwriting, I always like to go for sort of like that little half step, and then you go
sure.
here and there, and it's not always like just that um regular, major scale.
Yeah, yeah, and and that's the other thing about bands like Dream Theater is it's not so much about just the front man or one person in the band. It's really a musical masterpiece. The whole band kind of
Mm.
shining together.
The way that the keyboards kind of interplay with the guitars and everything,
You know,
drums.
I've all
Great.
going back to Deep Purple. I've always loved bands that had keyboards. You hear people say keyboards suck, they don't belong in rock music. I totally don't agree. I mean,
If you do
if
it
you know
right.
anything about Deep Purple, like you listen to what John Lord did on those classic albums, and then you
Yeah.
tell me keyboards suck. I mean, Bon Jovi, Journey, all the great bands had keyboards. You just have to be able to utilize it, so it fits the music.
Yeah. Keyboards can be fantastic, and they can really kind of fill up the space so that
Yeah.
you have like a nice, really big sound. You just need to do it right, and when you can like in this album, I feel like the keyboards, they are so rhythmic as well. Like,
Yeah.
and they're just creating like this real energy, which is kind of cool.
And I think even kind of being a new Dream Theater fan myself, I have you to thank for because we're talking about this today. So I wanted to know what we're talking about. So I listened to some of the songs that I said, oh, it's not too bad. But and that's the thing is it's different sounding. It's not like, and I think that's why people could get into this music because it's not like every band out there. It's really something special. In fact, talking about the key, the guitar playing, some of it is almost David Gilmour-ish, Pink Floyd-ish kind of quality
Mm.
of guitar playing.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know, like listening to it, I can just see him performing, and I'm just thinking like it's just nonstop. Like I don't even know how you do it.
Yeah, and
It's
when you go live, even to see a band, a lot of bands, you got everybody soloing and kind of showing, especially the guitar players, trying
yeah.
to show off how fast they can play. Whereas a band like Dream Theater, you go and see them live, it's more about everybody gets a moment in the show to shine.
Yeah, but and they're not even soloing. It's like they're
Going off.
on from like start to finish, and
Yeah.
so you don't need to solo because it's intense the whole time.
Yeah, and what I was saying about the vocals are very good and they're very important. James LeBray is a great vocalist, but like when you have a song, typically the first thing you hear, um, the vocal comes in right away, and you just start singing along. Where like one of the tracks I was listening, vocal does not even come in until like after 2 minutes into the song. It's just all music, and then just kind of the voice kind of comes in, and then it just magically becomes part of the song.
Yeah, and it kind of starts transforming, and it's kind of cool the way they do it too, because it's very sneaky. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
it happens in a way where it feels natural, and it's because sometimes you can create songs like that and they can feel disjointed
yeah,
and kind of like it doesn't make sense, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's like they really figured out the natural flow of
yeah,
shifting through all these constant changing
yeah.
parts, you know.
And so, have you ever got a chance to see Dream Theater live, or you mentioned
Yeah.
you met the drummer? What was that like?
No, I didn't meet the drummer.
You sent you a CD or something? You said.
Oh, my drummer gave me a
Oh, I
CD.
misunderstood. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I did see them live. And they're fantastic, you know.
And
They
then it's
it's
almost like,
exactly.
could you imagine like even having them as an opening band? They've been doing this for years. I'm just saying, going back to the early days of their career, how do you
I would love
follow
to
that?
open for them.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. Or even that, it's like, okay, we're just warming you up for the main event. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't even know, but I would love to be their opening act. But as far as like knowing Dream Theater, actually my guitarist in Lady Zep, she apparently kind of knows them. So she she's from like grew up in the era where all the wives, they were all in a band. So all the wives of the guys in Dream Theater, they were in a band. She was in a band, in that band with them, I believe. And so she knows them through the wives. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, and so you mentioned your band Final Gravity. You guys still going out there and doing gigs? You working on any new music or
Yeah,
anything?
I'm going to rehearsal after this because we're actually recording an album right now,
Yeah.
and we're getting it produced by this producer Rich Mauser, and I think he has worked with Dream Theater, so
Wow.
there's a little bit of that crossover too. um but yeah, we should have our album like finished by the end of this year, ready
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
next year to
And you're
release.
quite a versatile vocalist yourself. I mean, Final Gravity, of course, Lady Zep, two totally different projects, but I think that's cool because one's an original project, you get to do your own original thing. The
Yeah,
other is great, who's not a Led Zeppelin fan, right? And but it's two totally different type of music. So even as a vocalist, you're getting a vocal workout doing these two different types of bands.
yeah, yeah. And I like keeping myself flexible, you know, and it's like working all the different muscles.
And I love the fact too that in one of the past interviews you were sharing with me, of course, you're originally from Melbourne, Australia, and you're saying, I wasn't a diehard like Led Zeppelin fan all my life. Somebody turned me on to Led Zeppelin, and I kind of became a fan that way, kind of later in life. And
Yeah.
then you come to the United States, you join Lady Zepp, and you guys are not only one of the premier Zeppelin tribute bands out here, but you also got a nice little niche for yourselves in the fact that you're an all-female band.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there's that.
Yeah, yeah. I love Lady Zepp. It's changed my life, you know.
Sure.
It's influenced my own style, and uh, the actual band members, my family. You know, we all went to Joshua Tree like
Wow.
a month ago just to go and see the meteor shower,
Oh wow, that's
and that
fun.
was really cool. Just doing stuff like that. Like, we just actually like hanging out all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so in your off time, like I imagine you listen to other bands too, but like what's your warm up before you go on stage? Like do you listen to other music? Do you just kind of warm your voice up?
um, I have like a little
Ritual.
tracks like that I made, but I do the grrr, you know, grrr, and the like to get all that loose and vibrating. So I'm a big believer in sound and vibration. And
Yeah.
so it's like getting the sound to vibrate through your body is really important. It's actually important even just as a human being. It's actually kind of
Oh,
like
wow.
healing
Yeah,
to your essence.
yeah,
But I just do these scales. I do all the different vowels, and that's about it.
wow, wow.
And I've been doing that as my thing for a long time. But I did a lot of things leading up to what I do now. So what I do now is what you do once you've learned how to not do all the wrong things,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Well, you really you really studied and you honed your craft and you're great at what you do. That's why now I seen today in prepping for this interview, I went online just checked to see what you have going on also, and you've got a great website, official site. Melisa Jane Entertainment, I think it is, where kind of also
mjlightning.com.
Lightning. Yeah, Lightning. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So thanks for correcting me. But that's kind of the place people really want to get to know your story. All things Melisa Jane Lightning. And I was reading on there. You want to let us know too. You have a clothing line. So talk a little bit about how that got started, and then people want to check it out, how they can purchase stuff from you.
Sure. Yeah. So the clothing line, I'm still building it, like it's going to become bigger, but the idea is that I can never find really cool and classy and chic and sophisticated rock and roll clothing and things like that. It's impossible. And I think most rock and roll goth girls out there, they when they go get like buy something,
Yeah, yeah,
you always buy it with the intention that you have to fix it.
yeah,
I'll buy it and it'll be okay if I do this and that to it. So
yeah,
we're constantly always having to you know
yeah.
just you can't just get something that's like good to go. And so I want to try to start like creating all those things so that people don't have to do all that work to
Yeah.
have to you know be a cool rock and roller goth person and do it in like real style, like really classy.
It's interesting to say hear you say that because every time I've ever talked to you, like doing these interviews and even look on your Facebook page at all your photos, you seem to have a real essence about what you do. I mean, looking at the photos, you get dressed nicely. You got all these great clothes to go up on stage, and but I love the fact that you're doing that and that you really take. It's more than just getting up there in your jeans and t-shirts. You really get into putting on a show for the fans. You take the time to think about your fashion and what you're going to wear.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love fashion. I love like to me, that's just another extension of artistry. And
yeah,
so, when I if I'm gonna get dressed, like I want to do it,
yeah,
artistically. I want to be
yeah,
an extension of like what my soul is.
yeah.
And so I guess that's what
And,
comes
and
across,
just
right?
talking to you today, you come across like there's many facets to what you do. There's many facets to your personality, your stage presence. What I'm talking about is like you said a few times today about being a goth girl. I would never think of you. I gotta be honest, as a goth girl for a simple fact. When most people think of goth girls, you think of people real dark and they listen to Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails and all of this real deep stuff. But I'm digging the fact that once again you're not such a simple you peel off the layers. You're like a lot of us. You're into more than just one thing, and it's kind of interesting. I don't think most people would look at you and think of you as a goth girl, but I dig the fact that that's how you define yourself. You know better than anybody.
Well, technically, the title Gothic
Yeah,
technically is something that is intricate and detailed,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
like I don't know how it became such like a dark thing, because when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
look at like Gothic
Again,
architecture, there's
that's
actually
what
a lot
people
of
think.
color in it.
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
like a lot of the stained glass windows and
yeah.
stuff like that. So for me, like gothicness is like
Whatever
it's
you want it to be. Yeah,
yeah, it's all the little details, and it has color to it.
yeah.
And it's being just
Being
the
yourself, right? I mean,
all the little like sparkles, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's actually more sparkly than black.
You see, it's
Um,
again, you're educating us here because again, what people's and I'm guilty of this myself. What people's concept of goth is dark. I mean,
yeah,
and I can kind of see your transformation. I mean, there was at one point where you had blonde hair. Now for the last couple of years, you've had dark hair, but you know what? You really you've got kind of a bubbly gothic thing, I guess, going, bubbly personality. Again, people think of goth, oh, they're dark, they're depressed, you know, but you've always got a smile on your face. Like I said, you got a nice looking blouse on today, your jewelry, you know, your personality, everything. It's everything.
To me, that's goth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, on my website, I wrote a blog about why I am a real goth. So if you want later, check it
Yeah,
out.
later I'll have to check that out. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Because it kind of I kind of show that there's a few things, but some of it too, that like even when I was like 5, I was walking around with little pitchforks, you know. Like,
Oh, cool. Wow, I love
like
that. Yeah.
I where is it? Here. I collect them. I
Oh,
have
cool.
pitchforks everywhere.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if you ever thought about, you know, it'd be cool, like at some of your gigs, like to have something like that to throw out to the audience.
Oh
Hey,
yeah, that'd be nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Melisa Jane Lightning.
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, what I want to do eventually with the clothing line is I want to have a custom made little pendant thing, and I've already designed it. I just got to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
get it like
yeah,
manufactured, but it
yeah.
will have a little pitchfork, be
Oh,
a little
cool is
pitchfork
that? Well, wow,
emblem.
you're constantly growing. And then let me ask you, because I mean, getting back to Dream Theater for a minute, you
Yeah.
mentioned seeing the band in concert. I got to ask, what is that like? Because again, I imagine it's not your typical rock concert. I mean, it's kind of, songs are a little longer. It's you know, a little different than. So what was it like? What was it about the live experience, I guess, is a question that really impressed you about them when you went to see them?
Definitely, like it was high energy for sure.
Yeah, okay.
And they had like the lights going, like light show
It's more
kind
like
of
a
thing.
a visual kind of audio experience.
Yeah, yeah. So they definitely had like the lights going with like the audio, and
Yeah,
like to give it, like you know how they do the lasers and
yeah,
things and
yeah.
all these different things. But actually, what one thing that was kind of interesting was the keyboardist had this kind of setup where how do I even describe it? It's like they built like this little like mini stage on the stage,
Just for a
and
keyboard.
he has like 3 4 different keyboards,
Wow.
but
You're like,
it spins out, so he'll be like playing the keyboard, and then he can like spin it out like that way, and like where it gave him like ways to move around,
wow. I
like
can kind of
so
picture what you're
it's like
talking about.
he wasn't like stuck behind a keyboard. Could
So
interact.
it's almost like you can help but look at what he was doing. You know, you had to.
Yeah, it was really you know, eye-catching and engaging, and because he is so kind of important, and like some of those songs, the keyboards are super significant, and so it made it so that it, because I think like you know, a lot of the times maybe why people think keyboards are stupid, whatever, is because they get kind of just stuck in the back corner or
Yeah,
something. But he was really a real feature, and so he got to really shine, and you got to really appreciate not just his talent, but his like performance, you know. It was
oh wow,
cool.
that's fun. So what do you have going on, Melissa Jane? Now, like I see you had a gig recently. I think just this past weekend.
Did I? Oh yeah. Sorry, I forget. Yeah. So I live in the South Bay, like Hermosa Beach,
Oh
Redondo
wow,
Beach
okay, yeah,
area,
yeah.
and there's this really cool musician called Barkley, and he puts on this jam every Wednesday on the Hermosa Pier called the South
Okay.
Bay Jam. And I try to go like whenever I'm free, and I just go sing a couple songs and jam with them. And it's like all really awesome musicians. But every now and then, Barkley organizes things at the local festivals. So they had like an Oktoberfest
Oh
in
wow,
Hermosa.
yeah.
And so they had the South Bay Jam Band performing. We did like 3 hours, and so all the people that come to the jam night, we all just came and did like a couple songs, and it was really good. It was cool. I did
Wow,
a
wow.
Cashmere, and I did a No Doubt song, Excuse Me, Mister.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
fun. And when you get to take part in jams like that, I imagine it's so much fun because it's kind of off the hook, maybe not so rehearsed as like your typical show you do. You just kind of
Yeah,
get
there's like no rehearsal. It's like you
that
just
loose.
dive in, you know. You know, no what it was, life
That's yeah.
rails. You
That's
just
one of
dive
those
in.
cases of we're not gonna, if you want to stay, if you want to listen to the record, stay home.
Yeah.
This is not the recorded version.
Well,
This is
everyone's so talented, and it's kind of like it's everyone. I think for the most part are like working musicians, like professionals, and so we all kind of just go and jam when
yeah,
we have some time off
yeah,
because we like music and we like
yeah,
playing music, so
for
we don't
sure.
just do it when we're working, right?
Yeah, yeah. You're always trying to keep your chops up, and I
Yeah,
imagine.
so it's kind of like a pleasure just to kind of just connect with
And then
people.
it's got to be fun too because you got your typical fans that come and see you at the Ladies F shows and Final Gravity shows, but taking part in a jam like that, you don't necessarily really know what to expect. It's not your typical show that you do. It's something kind of out of a that's got to make it.
Yeah, you'll definitely see the many different shades, of people.
And I talked about a little today about you being a goth girl. It comes to mind. Halloween's right around the corner. I was kind of curious. Do you have any like goth girl or ritual you like to do around Halloween time? Do you get dressed up? Do you watch horror films? Do you like to do stuff like that?
See, I'm not actually into horror that like
See
that
again,
much. What's
again,
that?
again. That teaches us, people have this again expectation of what it means to be goth. Oh, they must be into horror. They must be into this or that. But I dig the fact that you're your own type of goth girl.
I
You're
am,
your own
yeah.
person. You know.
Everyone always assumes that like I like scary things, but not really. I actually love comedies all the time. Like Saturday Night Live is my favorite. Um,
I can
but
relate because those are some of my favorite movies, comedy. Because I love to laugh and have a good time
yeah,
and yeah, so I understand, but again, I love the fact that you're kind of out of the box. You got your own thing going, and I think that's why you've been successful. Because even though like you're in Lady Zepp and you're covering Led Zeppelin, you do it your way. You don't do you're not. And the cool thing about Lady Zepp, if anybody's ever seen you guys, you're not even trying to be Robert Plant. You're just singing the songs your way.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, yeah, and that was like I made that decision like from the beginning pretty much. There was when I first started doing so when I was in a different Zep band, which kind
sure.
of like spearheaded me into creating my own. That girl that had owned the band, she was trying to like she would say things to me like, "Oh, can you sing it more like him and not do so much vibrato or whatever?" And
Yeah,
because I have a natural kind of vibrato, and even could you like wear like blue denim and not black denim and
wow.
la la la.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I can, but I don't want to.
You think there was a little bit jealousy going on, or do you think it was just
No,
kind of
I think she had a vision, like an idea in her head, which
yeah,
is fine,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
'cause
yeah,
a lot of people do,
yeah,
that it needed to be this way, that way, and you put it in a box, right? But
yeah,
I'm all about outside the box. I don't like putting myself
yeah.
in a
I mean,
box in
like,
any
yeah, yeah.
situation.
I'll give you a great example. I know this guy who plays in a tribute band, and when I first met him, he was playing in this tribute to all things Slash. They were doing Guns N' Roses,
Oh,
Velvet
yeah,
Revolver, stuff off
cool.
his solo albums, and I was really excited when I was reading up on it about on Facebook, seeing ads for the first time. Oh, that sounds like it's very cool. Nothing like that out there. But you know what? The problem they had was like who doesn't know all the Guns N' Roses tracks, but not everybody knows Velvet Revolver. Not everybody knows his solo
Hey,
stuff.
good
And
songs.
they're good songs, but
Yeah,
I think that's the problem they had too. And then
the
trying
crossover.
to sing all those different singers, it's hard. So they kind of morphed into a Guns N' Roses tribute,
Mm.
and now they're just doing great stuff. Sometimes something sounds great on paper, but
Oh, yeah.
it's imagine if it's just a matter of if it works live or not.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the whole point is like you have to have that flexibility where it's okay to have like your vision and your idea,
yeah,
but have it and then let it go and just
yeah,
see what organically kind of
yeah.
transpires. Like
Sure.
let it go like then take its natural course.
Yeah, and I think too why you've been successful what you do is you kind of just go with the flow with what works. It's your own natural thing. You don't think too much about what you do, and that's why it works. You're just whereas if you were trying to be the next, the second coming of Robert Plant, um, people could tell, if you were just, faking it or whatever. but I think that's why you've been successful. You just kind of, you do your thing and it works.
Yeah, when you're phony, it's super obvious. It's I would say to anyone that wants to be successful is just never be phony. Like,
Yeah. And I'll say before we wrap it up for today, I think too, the thing with you, Melisa Jane, is that you prove to people that you definitely got talent. You know, a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, tribute bands, they're just playing other people's music. But I will say, for a guy who's a music fan, excuse me, I can't play a lick of music myself. I wish I could sing like you, let me tell you. So anybody that can do like you do, get up on stage, I have all the respect for what you guys do. But not only do you play in a tribute band, you do your own original thing. So you prove that you're capable of doing both, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Well,
Yeah,
as always, you know, Melisa Jane, I love talking to you. We will definitely keep in touch, and we'll do this again down the line. Thanks for doing this interview we just did. I'm going to try to post it sometime next week. I'll let you know when it goes up, and feel free to share it, okay?
okay, I will. You're
I'll
always
let you
so
get to
awesome.
rehearsal. Thanks
Always
so much.
great
Bye
talking
bye.
to you. See ya.
Take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.